Alright, welcome back, and of course, like we promised you today, it's all about affordable housing. And of course, we all know that Kenya's population is actually growing, and right now we're talking about over 50 million people, and majority of the time we see a lot of migration from the rural to urban settings, and that means the demand for housing is of course higher. But the question is, what kind are we talking about? All right, of course, what we want to see is affordable housing. So of course, the question that we're asking you today is, what exactly does affordable housing mean to you? What exactly does affordable housing mean to you? Of course, as always, engage with us on our social media platforms at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on Twitter. And of course, we'll be reading your feedback as we continue with the conversation. So welcome to the show. Be sure to stick around until the end of the conversation, because you will learn a lot. And of course, like I said, today we're here at the Vida homes, located at Garden City. Beautiful, beautiful space, if I can say so myself. But of course, to help us understand more about this, we have Samuel Kariuki, who's the CEO, Vida Homes. It's so good to see you. How are you doing this morning?
I'm fine, thank you. Welcome to Vida.
Right, thank you very much for hosting us. This is such a beautiful book. We were talking about this earlier on, and you were saying after the show, as we're not going back, we stay here because it's too beautiful.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, really, for hosting us today. And of course, let's start with the basics. Vida Homes. What exactly is it, and how many units do we have, especially here at Garden City? Because we know there's also another, project that is at Rerouter. But for now, Vida Homes.
Okay, so Vida Homes is a platform owned by Actis and Shaponji Palonji. Actis is Africa's leading private equity investor in real estate. Shaponji is a 150-year-old conglomerate in India. So it makes it unique in that respect that we have two institutions with a lot of financial capital, technical, capacity, coming together in Kenya and, looking forward in Africa to create this platform for developing affordable and mid-market housing.
Absolutely. Yes. And of course, majority of the times when people are looking for houses, there's so many things that are important to different people. Some people would say space is important to me. Other people would say convenience. That is access to, for example, the airport, a mall, hospital, workplaces, schools, and all those things. So when it comes to convenience, as far as Vida is concerned, what exactly is Vida offering?
Okay, let's look at that in the context of Garden City, as a mixed-use development. This was Kenya's or Nairobi's first horizontal mixed-use development. It's a 48-acre development. So Vida really is a subset of the wider Garden City. And when we say Garden City, it's not just a mall, actually. It's a 48-acre development. So within the 48 acres, we have the Garden City Mall, now the second largest in this whole region. We have a business park, which houses ZABL, CCI, and others. Then we have the residential component. Within the residential component, we have what I would call mixed income home offerings. We have the high-end node, which was done together with the mall. So Vida comes in uniquely as the mid-market node of the wider residential development. And as we shall be talking later, we then have an affordable housing component that's coming in. So to your point around convenience, that's what mixed-use developments bring about. That mixed use is about a piece of land having different offerings, as it were. So if you are here, for example, you have a commercial use within the 48 acres. You have a retail use. You have the residential. And soon other commercial uses will come about. Of course, that comes, it's an integrated living. It comes with the convenience. I can literally walk to a shop. Shopping is a trolley away. If I want to watch a movie, I want to watch Wakanda Forever at 10 p.m., it's a stroll away. It also comes with large open spaces. So it kind of gives you a better quality of life, as it were, at those different price points.
And when it comes to like urban setting and urban housing, majority of the times we don't find spaces for exercises, places where children can play, places, because again, at the end of the day, as much as we work so hard, we also have to look at, recreate and recreation, but at the same time also mind, when it comes to our health and fitness and all those things. So can we get that?
And you think about it, where in Nairobi today would you get a 50-acre piece of land for development?
Right.
And if you do, how many developers can dedicate an acre to open green spaces for people to recreate. And I suppose that is what a mixed-use development done by an institutional developer such as ourselves brings. That within such a large precinct, you're able to dedicate significant space. For example, for Vida specifically, we have about 1.2 acres dedicated to just open green spaces.
Oh, wow.
A sports ground, a tennis court, botanical gardens. Within the wider garden city, we have about 3+ acres again dedicated to open green spaces. Because of one, just the scarcity of land within the city, but two, the cost of land, not many pricey developers, beyond us, I don't think you can speak of many, who are able to dedicate that quantum or that amount of space to just green spaces for kids to play, for recreation. Yeah.
All right. And then again, so giving all this, right, the question might be, so then how are you able to give both? That is affordability, but also not compromising on the quality. Because at the end of the day, in as much as we want affordable homes, we also want to have affordable homes that are of good quality. Yeah.
And that's the thing, yes, that it's not just about affordability, but quality. And to answer that question, I suppose let's reflect at our market, just the way the way you started. You're having this huge rural to urban migration, very significant, very large, very high growth in urban centers in Kenya. Nairobi, of course, being a leader. And what has happened over the decades is the supply, unfortunately, has not kept with demand. And you can look at that as some form of market failure, that the supply of quality affordable homes is significantly way below the demand. The government is estimating a demand of about 250,000 homes. Of that, 170,000 should be affordable. At the moment, the market estimate is 50,000 units being supplied, and of the 50,000, about 1,000 speak to that affordable segment. So you can just see the dynamics around that supply-demand. And if you drive around Nairobi, you actually see it. What used to be informal settlements, as we viewed them traditionally, are now being replaced by still informal, but concrete jungles. Just high-rises that are not planned, no amenities, surrounding places that people should not live, as it were, cannot be able to live a quality sort of life. So a mixed-use development such as this then tries to respond to that. It's mixed use, and on the residential side, it's a mixed income. Because it's a large piece of land, you are then able to capitalize on the economies of scale that come with that. You're able to recover your cost of investing in the investment, other in the infrastructure. You are able to, because of the infrastructure put in, you are then able to go up and bulk up from a high-rise perspective, and therefore you can then be able to, because of the number of levels you're able to go up, or the amount of bulk you're able to utilize on a per square meter basis, then you're somehow able to reduce your cost significantly, and in a way respond to that need for affordable housing.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the question in terms of then making sure that you offer quality as well, because just yesterday we saw a house being tumbling down in Kasarani, and of course the question is, yes, the demand is high, and I can understand sort of quote unquote the need for people to just put up houses because people need a place to live. But then again, majority of the times there's usually a question in terms of quality of the homes, because we do not want to lose lives, simply because people are looking for places to stay. So then in terms of Vida, for example, the units that we have here, right, at Garden City. I know someone might be curious to understand, so are they for rental? Are they for purchase? Are they for both? Can I use some apartments as an office? Yes. What exactly is it about these units that we have here?
So our business model is we develop to sell, typical of most other developers. Even where we are thinking of responding to the very deep demand for rent, it is that we would then work with others to develop some sort of off-take mechanisms for people who can hold to rent. But our capital is short-term, what I'd call impatient capital, so we develop to sell. What we are doing at the moment is partnering with others to structure some form of off-take agreement with them, bulk institutional off-takes, that would then allow those who have that kind of capital to hold for rent for a long time. Because strictly speaking, what we have is a deep need on the rental side, quality, affordable rental. And the way I view it, it's a philosophical argument. that the affordable ownership is a want. But the need at the moment is affordable quality rental.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
And to your point on safety, and reflecting back on the supply-demand dynamics we spoke about, I think what has happened over the years is we've not had institutional developers playing in that affordable segment. We haven't had, until recently, institutional developers doing that. It's been a very fragmented, highly fragmented market segment. Which is then you've had Winnie and Samuel looking for a small plot of land to develop. And to keep the costs low, what people then have tended to do, those individual developers or non-institutional developers, is to ignore the role of consultants.
All right.
No architects, no engineers, and the result is what you're seeing. But I think now, both from a public sector and a private sector perspective, you're seeing a lot of attention on affordable housing. And I'm glad to note that a number of institutional investors, such as ourselves, are now coming into play
to bridge that gap.
To bridge that gap, exactly. Which is why I started by saying Vida is unique in that sense, and it's something to note in the industry, because if I reflect on the two owners of the platform, the Indian owner is develops houses in the tens of thousands. Not just in India, but across Asia and the Middle East, meaning they've developed that capabilities and capacity for industrial production of affordable housing. That is one, and they have 150 years of history doing that. On the other side, you have a large PE firm, again, backing that up with financial capital. And I suppose if you look at that, what it means to the market is that you are able to attract that kind of capital, and you're able to attract that kind of capability in a sector that has otherwise been yearning for institutional quality developers. And we also, of course, have our own local institutional developers. So I would say then the outlook is looking somewhat positive. And I'm saying somewhat because it also depends on how we define what is affordable housing.
That's the thing. It's very relative. Yes. And of course, that is what we want to hear from people. Because most of the time when you talk about affordable housing, there's some people who will tell you that is not affordable at all. And that is what we want to hear really from you as far as affordable housing is concerned. What exactly does that mean to affordable housing? Again, I'll be reading your feedback as we continue with the conversation. But for now, so fine. It's good to at least have you coming to bridge, that gap. When it comes to affordability, but also quality. But the thing is, 90%, I would say, of Kenyans, right, or urban dwellers, mostly in Nairobi, are renters as compared to, buyers, owners, right, or owners. So then how do we convert this 90%? Because, like I said, the more we continue, right? The more years go by, the scarcity of land. And of course, it will get to a point where all of us will just be living in apartments. And that's it, because there's no more land, right? So then how do we convert this 90% of people to owners? And of course, bear in mind the whole question about affordability. Yes.
You make one of the more important observations on these affordable housing discussions about the tenures. And to your point, yes, 90% of Nairobians today are tenants. On the other side, you have the government and the specific department that's very focused on prioritizing ownership. The way I have looked at it purely philosophically, to go back to my other point, is, and reflecting on just your observation of the 90% of Nairobians being tenants, is that access to a quality home affordably, that I'm able to rent affordably today, is an immediate need. And therefore, we as developers, or even now the government, when you're thinking of how fast do we address the current deficit, estimated cumulative at 2 million units, is to first think of that fact that 90% of these people are tenants. And the immediate need is, I need to live in a nice place. I need safety. I need decency. So I've tended to define affordable housing purely from a rental perspective. So the first level is to say, what is an affordable rent to your typical Nairobian? And from that, once you've addressed that first hierarchy of needs, I can then think of ownership. The reality, and this is my own view, the reality is that it's going to remain, our buyers are going to primarily remain investors. It's Winnie and Samuel buying a unit to rent out. and that dynamic of a majority of urban dwellers being tenants is going to be there for some time.
Yeah.
And also, I suppose, speaks to the demographics. You know, large number of people are really between the age of 20 to 35. Maybe home ownership is not that immediate.
No,
immediate. Now, as to what is affordable, I like the way the government has classified it into four different bands.
Different areas, yeah.
So depending on income, so up to 20,000, then that is social housing. You know, they fall outside the criteria for affordable housing. From 20K to 50,000 shillings from your gross income, then that is low-cost housing. Then from the 50,000 to 150,000 is what they're calling the mortgage gap. I suppose from obviously from developers who also have to pay a return to their shareholders.
That's the thing.
If you must participate in that, it wouldn't be surprising if you're really biased towards that higher band, the 50 to 150K. Then above 150K is what they're calling now middle income, who don't fall within their own definition of that. Now, the general definition of affordable housing is that, or rather, how much it's based on how much you should spend on your net income or gross income on rent. And there is a consensus around 30%. That 30% of our income going towards rent should be like a cap or a definition. So if I earn a gross of 150,000, less deduction, etc., it means I'm at most taking home some 120K. And if you go by the definition of 30%, it means my rent is capped at 40K for it to be avoidable. I mean, to be affordable.
To be affordable, yeah.
So if you're developing units going up to 40,000 shillings in rent, you could argue that you fit within the government definition of affordable housing. I should qualify that a bit and say the 30% should really incorporate the total cost of me living somewhere. Because it's one thing for me to pay rent, but if I live very far from where I work,
where you work,
that's an additional
there's a bit
cost.
of a cost here.
Yes, so if I have to shop very far, or take my kids far from where I live to school, that's also the total cost of living. But taking the rest as given, I would then define that range up to 40,000 affordable rent as generally affordable. Of course, some of our listeners might say 40,000.
They'll be like,
which you already live in. But yes, it's that band.
Yes.
Now, if you then use what I'd call a market cap rate, that when you look at rent and say what would an investor ask from a rental yield for me to buy such a unit, so 40K is what it's times 12, 4.8. A typical investor would look at a 7 to 8% yield. So while the government has capped their definition at 3 million shillings, I would argue that up to 6 million shillings in an investor buying a house, it falls within the global, that definition of affordable housing. Because if I buy a unit at 6 million shillings, I'm able to rent it out up to 40,000 Kenya shillings. I also know when you think affordable, it's very tempting to think of affordable to the very low income earners.
That's the thing,
and you have to be careful there, because if, say, I'm a bank teller, or I'm a receptionist, or I've just left university, I've just been employed, I'm working. And therefore I may not necessarily fall within that band of people who qualify for low-cost housing. Where should I live? Who supplies housing to these low and middle class people?
And therefore, I think majority of the people
absolutely.
Fall into,
for me, that affordability criteria has to define to include certain elements of that middle class. Because if you look at the current reality of Nairobi, that other segment which does not, it's the abandoned middle, so to speak, it's then living in these kind of places we are talking about. And these developers who are not complying with the construction codes, for example, are now trying to address that specific market segment. The low cost is taken care of, the higher end is taken care of, but there is this missing middle that we still must address, and they too desire that affordability.
That affordable, yes. And of course, when we talk about, again, the whole aspect of, access to affordable housing, and of course that desire to convert this 90% into home owners, there are usually, different ways of securing units. And one of the things that we see majority of the times is the off-take guarantee plan. So just in case someone is like, okay, so what exactly is that? What does that mean? And then we'll come back into that's, what maybe it is doing as well.
So I think when you look at housing, the housing value chain, you think of the supply side of it, and the supply side is us developers. We are supplying. There's the demand side of it, and the demand side then speaks to the end users, be they the homeowners or the people who eventually occupy the houses. What you're referring to, the off-take agreement, the off-take guarantees that the government has proposed. I would say it's one of the more creative, one of the more innovative ways that the government of Kenya has been responding to this, and you really have to give credit to the government and to the PS. You really have to give credit to what they're doing. I think it's a great idea if operationalized.
We usually say there's a very big problem when it comes to implementation. It's one thing to say, yes. to commit, but it's also the other thing, right? To see the implementation.
But I suppose it's a great thing that at least it's been talked about.
Yes.
It's been proposed.
Yeah.
And if you've listened to PS Hinga, he's been very, very passionate about it, and he's really put action into the words that he's speaking about. So I'm hopeful that in some form, that home ownership, the off-take guarantee of the housing fund will be operationalized. I'm not surprised, therefore, just watching His Excellency the President talk a lot about savings. I don't know to what extent he's really speaking about savings moving towards a housing fund, but I'm not surprised, and I wouldn't be surprised eventually if the two are linked. And I say that because the original idea of the housing fund, as proposed by the ministry, was it would be funded primarily from about 3 or so sources. There would be a debt component of it. There would be the government funding the housing fund, but there would be also employer-employee contributions, and I think that is where some roadblocks or some challenges were met. But also there was a savings plan towards that housing fund. So once the housing fund is fully funded and it's fully financed, the idea was it should give off-take guarantee to developers. What that does to developers is it removes the market risk. And that's a key milestone if it were to happen. If you remove the market risk, if you're telling me that I'm developing 1,000 homes, I don't have to worry about selling them. As soon as I finish selling them, there's somebody to buy them. It allows me now to scale up from 1,000 to 10,000. I don't have to think about the off-take risk. So what that would do, if operationalized, then is to allow the quick scale-up and addressing of the demand. Then the idea was once it gives the off-take and therefore raises the funds to buy the units, it can then, it's like a warehousing sort of structure. It warehouses the units. It can then sell to different categories of buyers affordably. To mortgage buyers, who then get financed by banks, and the banks can refinance that through KMRC. To cash buyers, people like Queenie have money, so they can buy cash. Then importantly, and this is a key, well, it's not innovation per se, but it can really be a big driver, is that they are looking to develop a national tenant purchase scheme. And that for me really would be great, yes.
All right, so how about then we take a break, but of course when we come back there's still so much more to discuss when it comes to affordable housing. And of course remember what we're asking you today, and that is what exactly does affordable housing mean to you as an individual? Forget us as a family or institutions, and everything else. You as an individual, what exactly does affordable housing mean to you? And of course, like I said, today we are here at Vida Homes at Garden City. We might actually show you this unit that we are in. It's a 3-bedroom apartment. We might actually show you what it looks like all around. But before that, let's take this short break. More still to come right here on Your World after the break. See you soon.
Are investing in the next generation of tech dreamers. Together, we harness the power of innovation. The Family Group Foundation is the anchor sustainability body for the Family Bank Group.
In the last 2 years, Centum Real Estate has completed and handed over 500 plus homes within the popular and rapidly expanding prime neighborhood of Ipingo, supported by world-class amenities and infrastructure. Palm Ridge Apartments, comprising of 1, 2 and 3 bedrooms, are among the move-in ready homes available for rent from 20,000 Kenya shillings. Awali Estate, comprising of 3 bedrooms plus DSQ bungalows and maisonettes, are also ready and available for rent from 100,000 Kenya shillings. Our estates offer a unique, secure environment and a high quality of life to residents, beautifully landscaped outdoor spaces, and a wide range of outdoor facilities.
St. Paul's University welcomes you to our 31st graduation ceremony on Friday, 18th November 2022 at our Limuru campus. You can follow live proceedings on NTV 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. St. Paul's University, your university of choice.
Learn in a minute. Brought to you by Nivea Lumina 630 Anti-Dark Mark Serum.
Last week, we looked at dark marks caused by hormonal imbalance. Today, let's look at dark marks caused by the most common factor, sun exposure. Hello, my name is Emma, and this is Learn in a Minute. Have you ever worn your favorite top? Then in the evening, when you get home and change, you find the whole outline of your top drawn on your skin? This is an example of hyperpigmentation caused by the sun exposure. Now imagine our face that is exposed to the sun every day. Panic not. Solution Eco. You need a serum that regulates this hyperpigmentation and a day cream with SPF 50 that will block this sun rays. I'm thinking Nivea Luminous 630. It starts working from day one with visible results in just 2 weeks. My name is Emma, and this is Learn in a Minute.
Learn in a Minute. Brought to you by Nivea Lumina 630 Anti-Dark Mark Serum.
Nivea Lumina 630 works from day one with visible results in just 2 weeks and 71% dark marks reduction in 12. Join the 1 million women already using the #1 Lumina 630 from Nivea.
Welcome to the biggest cycling event in Kenya. The Jubilee Live Free Race, powered by GNBR, is happening at KICC on Sunday, November 2022. There will be cash prizes of up to 3 million Kenya shillings to be won. Other exciting rewards, including a trip for 2 to Leopard Beach Hotel for 2 nights. Register to participate today on www.jubileegnrlivefreerace.co.ke. See you there.
Your flavor, and that's how you inspire us to always deliver the best quality meals made fresh with locally sourced ingredients. Galitos, bold African flavor.
Get the Galitos hot box and a 500 ml Coke soda at just 699 Kenya shillings.
Right, welcome back. I'm glad you're still with us. And of course, the show is Your World, and today it's all about affordable housing. And of course, I'm pretty sure you've learned a lot from the first part of this conversation as far as affordable housing is concerned. But do not forget what we're asking you today, and that is, what exactly does affordable housing mean to you as an individual? All right, our social media handles are at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on Twitter, but tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie. I'll be reading them before we end the show, hopefully, because yes, we want to show you what this unit that we are in right here at Vida Homes, Garden City is concerned. Of course, you can see from behind us. I mean, look at this setup. Who doesn't want this? Who doesn't want this? Okay, let's just start from there. Beautiful setup, but of course, this sort of like transitions from the kitchen, all the way to the dining area. But of course, Mr. Kariuki just want to take us through like the whole concept, about open kitchen, which I'm sure you hear a lot of people talk about. Me, I want an open kitchen. If it's not an open kitchen, then no thanks. So just tell us about the concept behind, what we're looking back there, and of course, transitioning all the way to the living room.
And it's a modern way of doing things, isn't it? So that kitchens have to be open plan. So if you look at this unit, it's a very large unit. It's more than 1,300 square foot, 1324 to be specific. If you look at the quality of finishing, it's quite high end. So we developed this as a mid-market product. Remember, as I said, we have 3 nodes now. We're looking at 3 nodes in the wider development. We have the higher end that was completed. We are now doing the mid-market, and this is part of the mid-market product, and there's affordable housing component of it. So this is a large unit, 1324, 3-bedroom, but it also has a DSQ, a detached DSQ.
Right?
Yes,
oh,
yes.
Outside.
It's outside. It's outside.
Okay.
Yes, which is, I believe, what most people would prefer. And interestingly, we've seen a lot of demand for this particular unit. I suppose some people would look at it as a 4-bedroom, because you have that. If you're not using it as a DSQ, you can use it as your study or a bedroom, an extra bedroom for your family. The other thing to note about it is just the efficient way of planning of the design. The design is very has been done in a very efficient way. So we don't have a lot of wasted space in the circulation. So you move straight from this very large lounge area into the bedrooms and the master bedroom.
All right.
But also you notice you don't need a lot of, you don't need to switch on the lights during the day. We are relying a lot on the natural light. And when you're walking into the building, you may have noticed an IFC Edge sign. That's because this is a green certified building.
Yes.
What that would mean to the buyer, to the person living here, that my energy costs are significantly low, over 20% lower.
And that is exactly what we're looking at, because at the end of the day, we want to save on cost. As much as we love our houses, we want a beautiful house, we want all those things. But at the end of the day, we need to save on
the cost of living in that
right? And now, again, there's the whole aspect about climate change, and so many things are happening at the same time. So if we can have a bit of, nature doing its thing, that would be really nice. And of course, from the windows, we can see it. It's raining now in Nairobi in the morning. It's actually raining, but of course, the large windows allow in a lot of light into the house, which is a beautiful thing. And also the view, as well. I can see Garden City.
You can see the gardens. You
can see the gardens, right? Immediately from your living room, which is a really, really good thing. And it's very spacious. And I like the fact that it's one and the same thing, like the kitchen, and then you transition into the dining area, and then into the
a lot of space.
Still a lot of space. We're a lot of people in this house. It's just that people at home might not see.
It doesn't feel crowded.
It doesn't feel crowded at all. Yes. And of course, I love the fact that, again, the balcony is sort of like an extension, it goes all the way. So if you're tired of sitting in the house, you can as well just sit outside the balcony, and you're good to go. And of course, then the fact that all the bedrooms are on this side of the house, isn't that great?
And we've minimized the amount of circulation area, so it makes it a very efficiently designed unit. Every space is usable. And I think that's what most customers are liking about it. Every space is usable. Don't have a lot of dead spaces. That, to the developer also, in a way, is a way of reducing your cost when you have very efficient designs. And it speaks to the capacity being brought by our technical partner, SPRE of India, because they're very involved in the design process.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now, the other thing to note is when you buy a unit in a mixed-use development, you're not just buying the unit. So if you're the owner of this house, yes, I own the unit, but I really have a share of what is outside it. Yes, I have a share of the 48 acre. I have access to the clubhouse. We keep saying it's the largest clubhouse of any development in Nairobi. It's very large. It's a very large clubhouse. The swimming pool is commercial scale. The gym is commercial scale.
All right.
We have a large barbecue deck. Again, I would I would challenge anyone to show me any bigger barbecue deck in any residential in this city. But beyond that, you have an access to a 1 acre garden, botanical garden, open space, green area. And beyond that, then you have whatever else is available within the Garden City precinct.
Okay.
So unlike buying in a standalone development, when you buy in a mixed-use development, you're buying much more than the unit.
Yes. All right. So you're not just confined in your house.
You're not just confined. You're not just confined. You can.
And of course, what we're seeing, on our screens now is the master bedroom, and that is a beautiful space. That is a beautiful area, and it's very spacious. And of course, we can see, the bathroom, looking, all lovely and clean. I love the fact that it's very, very clean, and of course, again, there's that separation between the bathroom and, the toilet, and of course, the master, as well. Beautiful, huge space, because I think majority of the times when we come, especially in the urban settings, we usually see a lot of, this is, wow, okay. lost my train of thoughts, you know, for a second. But look at this. This is magnificent.
And also look at the quality of finishes.
Yes.
From the tiles to the sanitary fittings, very high-end brands.
Yeah.
So on this particular unit, we really went out of the way from that quality perspective.
Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, and I like the fact, yes, the finishing is absolutely amazing, but it feels and looks clean.
Yes, it does. And it's easy to maintain as well. It's very easy to maintain. Yes.
Absolutely. And of course, the quality, the large window over there, you know, that allows in a lot of natural light, which is a good thing.
I don't have to switch on my lights when I come into the room again. Yeah.
You really don't. So you end up saving on, you know, a lot of things. How big a bed can you fit in here?
Well, I suppose the largest that you could. They call it queen size, 6 by 6, and still have space.
Yes.
And still have space. You can still, but you still have a lot of space around you. Yes.
Yeah. So the biggest bed, whatever it is that you want, you can still fit that in here. The lighting fixture is amazing. Yeah. I mean, look at this. You know, all this space. You know, wardrobe for all your outfits and, you know, everything else.
Absolutely.
That is and I think this is one of the things that people usually look at. How big is the bedroom? How big is the, you know, the kitchen? How big is the living room? How big is you know,
and
all
how big is then the overall unit?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So this is absolutely great. And of course, we also have, again, what we're seeing on our screens is, you know, the other bedrooms. Okay. Because like we said, this is like a three-bedroom.
It's a 3-bedroom plus
It's
DSQ.
a 3-bedroom plus DSQ, which again, like we said, you could say for.
It's like a 4-bedroom.
Right.
And it's been very popular with buyers, this particular one.
Oh, yeah? this is the most loved.
This is the most loved. I think I have only about 5 remaining.
No way.
Yes, just about 5 remaining.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's been very popular. So when we are doing phase 2, we based on that, we are biasing it then towards the 3-bedroom, to have more 3 bedrooms. But also we've received a lot of requests from our customers for duplex units in the 1 and 2 bedroom. So phase 2 will be slightly different from this. In the introduction of the duplexes, but we retain the 3-bedroom unit because it's been very popular.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, big families, people want space.
Okay.
All right. And of course, you know, talking about the 3-bedroom that is most loved by a lot of people. Do we see a lot of buyers, like owners, or is it someone who gets the unit but then rents it out?
Majority of the 3-bedroom buyers are people who are buying to live there.
Ah, okay.
Not investors. Investors typically tend to go towards the 1 and 2 bedroom because they want to rent them out. 2 bedrooms are particularly very popular from the rental side of it, from the rental market. So most investor buyers buy 1 and 2 bedrooms. You'll of course have a few who buy a 1 bedroom to rent out to families. And the advantages of renting out to families is that you can almost rely on their stickability to it. If a family settles here, if you have a family, you don't really want to keep moving them around. You know, the school kids will be just there. So once families come in, there's a stickability element that they can,
Okay. All right. And even as we continue to, you know, see what's happening on our screens as far as the other bedrooms are concerned, I mean, beautiful finishes, quality at the same time. All right. And of course, just working back, you know, get to understand. So in terms of, you know, the affordable housing and what, you know, the government is doing just to make sure that, you know, Kenyans have, you know, access to affordable housing. Like we were talking about, you know, the offtake guarantee, you know, plan, especially for, you know, all the people who are looking to, you know, buy and own, you know, all those things. How then does that benefit you as Vida? Because again, at the end of the day, you not want to, right? We need more. And we need to see more developments.
As a developer, if I were to invest in a project with a guaranteed offtake, obviously it moves the market risk from my considerations, and that can allow me to scale up as much as I want. And I suppose the key constraint to developers at the moment has been that offtake. The worst thing you want is to develop and then post-construction, you hold inventory for 1-2 years. That is capital tied up in that project. So with the offtake agreement, then you're able to recycle your capital into other projects rapidly. So if it works, if it's operational, as I say, that would be really a significant game changer. Yes.
Okay. And then again, so when it comes to like making sure that all these developments are there, like we said, we're here at the Garden City, you know, unit, but we also have another one in Viruta, right? Can you just take us through that? How many, again, units will be there? What is the same? I would say design as compared to, because the quality should remain the same.
The quality should remain the same. And that's the beauty of institutional developers, that you would never compromise on quality, no matter what. There's a certain standard you must maintain. So to your question, this particular building where you're at is a mid-market product. We are then introducing 2 affordable housing projects, one at Garden City. So on the other side of the mall, we are introducing about 600 affordable apartments. That's going to be a large scale, so it's a sizable scale. Of the 600, the price points are starting from 2.4 million. Now, of course,
for one.
So it will be a mix of studio, 1 and 2 bedrooms,
okay,
with a ranging of price from the 2.4 to about 7.8 million.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
So that, I suppose, speaks to an affordable for the low middle income range. So if you want to rent a unit from the 15K to 40K thereabouts, that then is a product for you.
Yeah.
Yes, and it speaks to that demographic that we are talking about.
Yes.
The
earlier. Ones that usually sort of
somewhere left it, and yet they need affordable
Absolutely.
housing. So from 15K rent, then you should be able to afford living there. But then, so that is Garden City. But then as a business, we must be demand driven. We have to go to the nodes where there is demand. And what attracted us to Riruta specifically, that general area is very popular with tenants who work in the Kilimani area, Upper Hill, CBD, and Lavington. It's very well served, has traditionally been very well served by public transport, very well served. So for that reason, then we saw it as a very attractive node to be in. So we have a 6-acre piece of land there. We are looking to build about 1,000 plus residential units, and we've now gone to market and we've started pre-selling them. So it's going to be phased, but in some we should be able to do about 1,000. So at the moment then our pipeline is 1,600 units. Once we have that off the ground, you will see 2 more announcements. As I said, this platform is really looking to build scale, especially on the affordable side of the market. We have commitment of about 12 billion shillings from our current shareholders, and that just speaks to the scale that we are capable of moving into and growing into.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And then again, so we talked about the guarantee, the offtake guarantee, but of course there's also the buy-off, plan, which again, as we all know, it has so many risks, right? Can we just address some of this risk and of course what again Vida is doing just to make sure that we're careful, and as much as we want to offer affordable housing to the people, but we'll also make sure that you do not run into all these risks that are there.
First, on the offtake guarantee, let me say, outside of the government, we've seen the private sector also trying to structure some forms of offtake guarantee, and indeed in this market there are some ongoing activities around people raising funds which can then enter into agreements with the developers to offtake. We, for example, are in engagement with such funds, and hopefully, somewhere this year, next year, we should be able to make announcements around such closures. And I think they will complement the government and probably play beyond the space where the government is able to play from an affordability perspective. Yes. So that should complement, and because it's private sector driven, then it has capacity to quickly scale up, and in a way match government, the government housing fund. Yes.
All right. So then, in terms of then people really understanding, and especially those who are probably watching us and thinking, you know what, I might actually want to invest in real estate, because for some time now, so one might say this has been a very lucrative business. It's doing very well. But what is it that people then need to understand before investing?
As a developer or as a?
No, as a buyer. As a buyer.
Buying a unit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is it that we need to know? What is it that people need to understand before taking that risk?
Okay. First, I want to speak to the philosophy of investing in real estate and why you should invest in real estate. Real estate, unlike any other investment class, comes with what we call an inflation hedge. If today I have 5 million shillings and put it in a savings account or a bond, a fixed income bond, I will get a fixed interest payment, say every 6 months or every year. But my 5 million remains, and 5 years down the line, I'll get my 5 million back. And this fixed, assuming it's 10%, this 500K I'm getting every year is a fixed sum. Now, that does not in any way change or vary with inflation. So if inflation is 10% and I'm getting 10%, then it means my real income is 0. Real estate, on the other side, is automatically inflation hedged because property values grow. So if I invest in a property today of 5 million, 5 years down the line, it will not be worth 5 million. There's a capital gain. But also importantly, rents reflect that inflationary adjustments. So typical rents, what I was renting 10 years ago for 10K, today is not renting for 10K.
It's not.
So it has adjusted with inflation. So it comes with that automatic inflation hedge, which is a primary reason why somebody's investment portfolio should include some real estate investment. It may appear capital intensive to begin with. Maybe I can't afford some 6 million or some 2 million. But that again is nothing to fear. If you've saved up to be able to buy to fund the deposit component of it, and I buy a unit and I'm looking to lease it out, I can arrange my mortgage such that my monthly installment payment is equal to or less than the rent I'm getting from the unit. So if I'm able to mobilize the deposit, then I get the rightly structured mortgage from a price and tenure perspective. My monthly mortgage can somehow be structured to be less than the rent I'm able to get, and the house is therefore purchasing itself, as it were.
As it were, yes. Absolutely. And then as a developer as well, because there's a lot of people who, because I'm talking scared, hey, this one is very lucrative, we all want to go there.
And hopefully follow all the codes. Involve all the consultants. I cannot emphasize that enough. All the real estate, the built environment professionals must be involved in a project.
Absolutely.
Don't try to bypass that or to... Don't
because
try
again,
to you're risking lives. And when you risk lives, you end up losing your whole investment yourself. You can imagine all these buildings you are seeing collapsing. I've built up to 7th floor. Maybe I'm now in the process of tiling, then the whole thing comes collapsing. Not only am I losing lives, but I'm losing my whole investment. So no shortcuts in the real estate.
Absolutely. And we shouldn't say that, honestly, because like we're saying, we want people to have access to affordable homes. We don't want people to lose lives.
No.
While,
we
really
don't
want that. And then, of course, we know that the high cost of living, we're experiencing that, not only in Kenya, but even across the world. This is a global thing, that is happening. So then, as developers, what are some of the ways that you're shielding yourselves, from, the worst impact of the scene?
It's been a challenge since COVID, and especially as an aftermath of COVID. So what COVID did to our industry specifically, the supply chain disruption really affected us. For example, in Kenya's developers, most of what we use, most of the inputs are imported. So the supply chain disruptions definitely had an impact, not just on the supply, just your supply chain, but also on the cost. So that is one. Then the other macros happening globally, the Russia war, etc., have then led to this inflation. And you're right, it's not just affecting Kenya, it's a global phenomenon. But yes, we get affected directly. If I look at the cost components that go into developing a unit, you have the land as one component. So because when you're managing cost, you really have to manage cost at each level.
Oh, true.
Not just
one.
So it's the cost of land. And when you have a brand such as ours, you are able then to secure joint ventures in a way that suits a project or a target price point. That avoids you deploying a lot of capital upfront, because capital is expensive.
Oh, it is.
So then you're able to structure land acquisition in a way that is favorable to your economics or economic objectives. The other component, of course, is the construction cost itself. We'll talk about that. There's the funding cost or the project. That's again where our scale comes in. That given your scale, given the brand, given the credit rating of the brand, you are then able to secure funding at, I would say, relatively reasonable terms compared to any other developer. But funding cost is something one must be able to manage, and manage carefully. It can quickly wipe away all your profits. There's a professional fees component, which also can be a significant cost component. Professional fees take anywhere from 6 to 12% of the project cost. So it's an area that again needs managing. So developers such as ourselves have developed most of the core skills in-house. So for example, we do our own project management. We are able to employ the different skill sets in the real estate sector or the built environment sector, such that we can do most of the heavy lifting. And when you are outsourcing, then you're able to negotiate better deals. And also because you're able to offer scale to your would-be suppliers, even service suppliers, you can somehow be able to leverage on that, to get a better pricing for a better one. And I guess the same then goes to the hard cost, which is the core cost. The hard cost, obviously, if you're playing in this market, still is still. You have to pay the price
really
still.
Is,
The opportunity I see there is if you're playing at scale, then you're able to avoid a lot of this. Along the value chain, of course, you'll have a lot of value chain players. And for it to move from one value chain player to the other, that means an extra markup.
Yes.
So if you're able to cut that chain and speak directly to the factory, sourced directly from the factory. That again is a way of trying to reduce your cost.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what about then having most of these materials locally manufactured? Because I think majority of the times, talk to developers, they'll tell you, of course we need quality, so we need to bring in a lot of things, and of course that pushes the cost, a bit higher, and then that beats logic in terms of affordable housing, what we're talking about. So then when it comes to making sure that, we have most of the things that we really need locally available. So what magnitude do you think that will help?
I think there's a general trend towards a lot of manufacturing of the various components, from roofing, at least certain stages of steel processing. We do now have our own tiles manufacturers. Obviously, local manufacturing means you're avoiding the taxes. You're not paying the tax, because the tax is another cost overload.
Yes.
It's a very significant cost overload on everything that you are, on all your inputs. The only question would be then, is local manufacturing cheaper than the landed cost of that product? And I think for most manufactured products in Kenya, that has been the challenge, depending on what. That because of other dynamics, the landed cost of a product is cheaper than the ex-factory price of a locally manufactured product. And I say that generally. I'm not being specific to any particular any particular input. Yes.
Absolutely. And again, time flies. Literally about to close the show. But of course, the question would be, so fine. So you are in Garden City. That is Vida Homes. Garden City, Rerouter. Any other projects in the pipeline? What we should be, on the lookout for?
As developers of scale,
yes.
I've said we have a lot of capital. We have access to about 12 billion shillings in equity capital alone, and with equity, you're then able to lever it from debt finance and scale up significantly. So we have the capital, we have the technical capabilities because of our technical partner, and yes, to your point, we, in addition to what has been announced to the market, what is now selling in the market, we have a pipeline of other projects that we should be showcasing to the market from next year. So this is a platform to watch. It's a brand to watch, in supporting the government in that affordable housing agenda. But also I would say to buyers, and to your question earlier on investment, it's very important to consider who are you buying from, because a buying decision means for a 2-year period I'll be giving you deposits in the hope that you will deliver a finished unit to me in the way you promised. So the credibility of the developer is very important. In fact, that to me is a make or break of an investment decision. When you buy early off plan, there's a cost, there's an economic advantage of you doing that. There's always some capital appreciation over the period.
Over time,
So when you're making that decision, look out for credible institutional developers who, no matter what, will deliver. And I think that is the brand promise of Vida, because Vida represents the brand promise of Actis and SPRE. Yes.
Absolutely. All right. So then I'll just take your parting shot in terms of just understanding real estate, home ownership, but affordable in that sense to everybody who's watching us. What would you say?
I can't overemphasize, within your investment portfolio, have some real estate in whatever form. Whether you are jointly investing with others or whether it's just you investing, have some real estate. Because unlike any other asset class, it comes with that natural inflation hedge. So in the very long term, it's a very good asset class to be in. Yes, it's capital intensive, but there are ways, using the right financial advisor if you need one, there are ways of structuring your acquisition, especially for rent, in such a way that you don't need to deploy all that capital.
That's true.
Yes.
That's
so
true.
Yes, don't fear that I need a lot of capital. No. Yes.
And
now we have a lot of mechanisms coming in to address that. For example, tenant purchase schemes. We'll see a lot of them being launched in the market as we look forward. Yes.
All right. And of course, remember we talked about very quickly before we need to, and I think someone needs a clarification. We said yes, you can purchase ownership, but you can also rent out, right? Purchase and then rent it out. I want to ask, the Airbnbs. We're seeing that it's really cropping right now in the market. Can one also do the same?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, a good number of buyers today are buying and purely to furnish and do Airbnbs.
Okay.
Very profitable. Assuming there's no COVID and assuming you're getting an acceptable level of occupancy, because you're charging a daily rate, you might find that for the same, what would be a monthly rent for that unit, I'm able to make it within a week. Yes, so with the right, at a certain level of occupancy, it's a very profitable, business to be in. So a good number of Studio One two-bedroom buyers actually buying out.
And then,
now, as investors
yes,
within the Airbnb space. Yes,
and
it's a very good
rent it
business
out.
to be in.
It's a very, something to think about,
yes,
right?
absolutely. You know, the yields are out of this world. It's,
Yes.
it's a good investment to be in.
Absolutely.
Yes,
I
yes.
hear you. Well, there you have it. I don't want to think at it right now. You're still asking, all those questions. You have everything at your fingertips right now. And of course, all that is thanks to Mr. Samuel Kariuki, who's the CEO of Vida Homes. We say thank you very much. I have lots and lots. And now I am thinking about all those things, all right? Right?
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, well, we have to end it here. Unfortunately, we could not be able to read all your feedback. But remember, since we're going off air, it doesn't mean that the conversation stops there. No, let's continue the conversation online as well. That is at NTV Kenya, both on Twitter and on Facebook. And of course, don't forget our website as well. That is at NTV Kenya and on YouTube. The conversation still continues. And remember to tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie. But for now, you have all the information. You have everything that you need. As far as affordable housing is concerned, investing in real estate, you now know what to do. Okay, until next time, think about it. Have yourselves a good one. I'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place, right here on Your World. But until then, enjoy the beautiful pictures of this beautiful house that is Vida Homes right here at Garden City. See you soon.
Thank you.